I'm really excited. We're welcoming PRESSBOOKS here with John. John is the sales team lead at PRESSBOOKS. PRESSBOOKS is a versatile, user-friendly publishing platform educators rely on to create and adapt and share accessible, interactive, web-first books. I've invited a handful of people from my publishing circle as well, because this is a great overlap of education and publishing. PRESSBOOKS partners with organizations to support open education initiatives, institutional publishing programs, curriculum development projects, and more. John will talk about the PRESSBOOKS platform, how it's used by partner institutions, and what additional technology tools are available using PRESSBOOKS. I'm super excited. Awesome. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen here, and I will hand it to you, John.
Great. Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to come speak to your organization, your group, your class. And I'm just going to start sharing my screen as well. As Helena mentioned, I'm the sales team lead at PRESSBOOKS. I've been with PRESSBOOKS for just about 3 years. And I came to PRESSBOOKS after working for a number of years in the publishing industry, and then I started working in educational technology SaaS companies. So I started working with companies like Hypothesis and PRESSBOOKS, and it's been a great transition. It marries the two parts of my career that I think I've succeeded at most, is both the publishing side and the ed tech side. This is what PRESSBOOKS, what we do is we provide user-friendly digital publishing that's been optimized for learning. So PRESSBOOKS started about just over 10 years ago, when our CEO and founder was looking for a method to easily publish content to the web. He had a blog, he had been playing around with WordPress, and what he envisioned was basically a platform where you could create a book online and then easily export that book to multiple different formats. So whether it's an ebook, PDF, so that you could enable print copies, that was the goal, and through that, PRESSBOOKS was born. As I mentioned, PRESSBOOKS is, well, I mentioned WordPress. PRESSBOOKS is built upon WordPress. It takes a WordPress multi-site and customizes it. It's open source software, so anyone can download the PRESSBOOKS software, install it on a web server, and have their own PRESSBOOKS network. Or I'll go over the different ways that we also support access to PRESSBOOKS. We like to support, and our goal over the last, since PRESSBOOKS was started and was gaining notoriety and gaining use at higher ed institutions, what we have been hoping to do is create an online learning ecosystem. So we want to support publishing of a textbook, but we also try to integrate learning technology into the text so that it can be a one-stop shop for a class. So we do that in a couple of ways, and I'll talk today about PRESSBOOKS, the PRESSBOOKS directory, PRESSBOOKS Create, which is our authoring and editing platform. And then I'll get into talking a little bit about PRESSBOOKS LTI integration for the LMS. So the PRESSBOOKS directory came about a few years ago. If you're not aware, PRESSBOOKS is used by a number of large organizations, different organizations like BC Campus, eCampus Ontario. There's a number of institutions in the United States, consortial groups that use PRESSBOOKS to support their open education publishing. And what we heard from that group of educators was that they were looking for a way to increase the reach of open educational resources. So and bring more awareness to it. And from that feedback, the Pressbooks directory was born. So I'm just going to pop in live into the directory. I took a screenshot of this page when I joined Pressbooks, and it was just over 2,000 open access books that were published. I believe it was 92 different Pressbooks networks. So when we talk about a Pressbooks network, now we're at 173 networks and organizations publishing to the directory. So a network could be like eCampus Ontario, where it's about 52 organizations that are publishing to the directory through eCampus and their network. We measure the total number of institutions across North America, Australia, and New Zealand at just over 650 different organizations or institutions are publishing to the Pressbooks directory. So we're over 6,000 open access books published now to the directory. Now, not every book that's published on Pressbooks is archived in the directory. We enable the choice with authors. The authors always have the choice whether they want their books listed on the directory or not. So they have that freedom to choose to not. And not all of the 6,449 titles are open educational resources. That is, they aren't all published with a Creative Commons license, but most are. So if a book is on the directory, it's number one, it's going to be open access, free for anyone to read online. Most authors make multiple different file formats available for download. And you can download an EPUB or a PDF file. You can also typically get archive files, so XML or other HTML files that authors will enable. And but first point is that all the books on the Pressbooks directory are open access, so free to be used by anyone. We have a number of curated collections. You can see here that we have a few curated collections. We had a librarian go through books that were on the Pressbooks directory, and we created collections to highlight the best and brightest. So you can see here that there's a collection on language learning, on interactive OER. So this is a great collection because it highlights different ways that authors are building interactives into their books. But if you wanted to look up the different collections, we do have a filter, and we have a collection on science, on healthcare. There's two more down here, interactive accessibility. So this is an interesting one as well, so that there are a number of Pressbooks titles written to enable and inform people about accessibility on the web. But there's also some great examples in the collection of great books that use different accessible features. So just to mention that accessibility is very important to Pressbooks. We do have a VPAT that our product manager reviews all the time, and we get feedback from a number of institutions that are doing great work with accessibility, and we want to make sure that our platform and our reading platform is as accessible as it can be for students. So in the Pressbooks directory, you can see here, if you go to institution, this is another field that's in the metadata. You'll be able to see the number of books that are published at all sorts of different institutions across North America and Australia. So anything that you wanted to search, you would just, as you would normally search if you were looking for a particular title, maybe in sociology. I'm going to narrow the search a little bit more. If you're familiar with open education, you might have heard of the OpenStax out of Rice University. OpenStax is a OER publisher, and they produce great peer-reviewed OER that a number of Pressbooks networks have imported that content into their network on their own. You can see here that this one that's published out of South Puget Sound Community College, it was imported into Pressbooks on October 27th, 2021. I happen to know I've compared the source book and this copy of the book, and the authors have just imported it. They don't have any changes to the book, so it hasn't been adapted in any way. They just chose to import that OpenStax text into their Pressbooks network so that their students could have access to the book through that network directly. When you go into a Pressbooks book itself, I'm just going to click on the title here. One of the things that is consistent across all Pressbooks networks, all Pressbooks books itself, is this will be the home page. So as I mentioned, this is built on WordPress. So this is the home page of the book. It is its own URL. And then each chapter or section of the book will be part of that microsite. So you can see here that this author has selected for the first part of the book to be chapter number 1, and then each section follows the sections of the book. So section 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. One of the reasons that authors do this, and I'll go into this chapter here, is because Pressbooks is a website and the reading platform, students will just scroll to the end of the chapter. You can see here if students had to scroll for what would be the equivalent of a 30 or 40 page chapter in a higher ed textbook, they would easily lose their place. So most authors, they have the ability to manage that themselves, and this author has chosen to create sections as part of each chapter. The navigation for the students and the reader is down at the bottom of the text, and you can navigate back or forward within the book itself. So it is a linear progression through the textbook. As I mentioned, OpenStax is a very popular OER publisher, but it was originally designed for print. So you'll see here that there's a section quiz at the end of each section. And that's something that a lot of authors will take this OpenStax material. I'll show you a little bit of how we enable the authors to build interactivity into that book rather than just have it more static with a question and the answer presented in this format. So back to just a little bit more about each book card on the Pressbooks directory. We let people know which network that this was published on. So like I said, this is the domain of the South Puget Sound Community College Pressbooks Network. The title of the book, there's information here on the specific license. So if it's, this is a Creative Commons license, CC BY. There are 0 H5P activities in this book right now, and 242,000 words, just over that. There's information on the author, and this is all information that the authors are free to put into the book information, and it reads into not only the Pressbooks directory, but a few other different databases where open educational resources can be found. I'm going to pause for a second just to check. There is nothing in the chat. If there is anything in the chat, or if there's any questions, please let me know, and I'm happy to address them as they come up.
Yeah, for sure. No worries, John.
Okay, so I wanted to show. I talked a little bit about the different organizations that use Pressbooks. So like I talked about, Pressbooks is an open source software, and BC Campus is probably one of the larger Pressbooks networks out there. They have on this network, this is a network that BC Campus downloaded the PRESSBOOKS software, and they host and maintain the network themselves. So this is a self-hosted PRESSBOOKS network. We work quite closely with BC Campus in that we are in this together, and we share support resources. But BC Campus does have a number of great resources on adapting OER, a publishing guide. They have an accessibility toolkit that I always direct authors to because there's great information and great how-tos for not just publishing within PRESSBOOKS, but publishing to the web and things to consider around accessibility. Another network that I mentioned was the eCampus Ontario. So every Ontario post-secondary institution publishes to the Open Library, and they have their own PRESSBOOKS network. You can see here that each PRESSBOOKS network, like I said, is built on WordPress, so it follows a similar kind of structure in the blocks that are available. But individual network administrators are able to customize this a little bit and customize the information available, obviously, on the website, and how you go about getting access to that. And another one that I just like to point out, because it does have some interesting information on it, and they also make use of our updated catalog, is the Online Consortium of Oklahoma. So this is, again, another statewide PRESSBOOKS network that's available to all higher ed institutions in Oklahoma. They have a number of training videos, a link back to the PRESSBOOKS directory. They have some information here on what they've saved students by converting courses to OER. Information on their steering committee. And then if I go down just to their catalog, I'm just going to show you the catalog. This was something that our development team had created and released just in the last year. It used to be a very plain, the catalog was a very plain WordPress site with just blocks with tiles for the title of the book. It was on a little, whether it was a blue or a green blank tile. And what we've done is we've brought into the network catalogs the ability to actually make it look more like the directory, so that all the hard work that these authors have done can be showed off in the catalog, and again, increase the reach of the open educational resources. So to go back, just to make sure I'm following my own presentation. Okay, what I want to do is I want to show you one of the ways that PRESSBOOKS, one of the tools that we've built to support open educational resources. So when you have access to a PRESSBOOKS network, now I've logged into our demo network. This is, I've just logged in. When anyone has access to a PRESSBOOKS network, this will look and feel the same to anyone on any network. You can click here to create a book, or you would click to adapt a book. So create a book is starting from scratch, a blank page, blank book where you can add chapters, add parts, add preface, and anything you like as an author, or you can click and adapt a book. So our cloning tool with adapt a book enables educators to openly clone openly licensed books. So if a book is on a PRESSBOOKS network and you would like to make a copy of that book, and that source book is got a Creative Commons license, I'll just show you here how easy that is. I'll go back to this book, the Sociology, and just go back to the home page and just click. And I just put in the URL for the source book and name the new book URL on this network. So it's going to make a copy of this book from this network onto this network and call it this in the URL. I'm not going to click clone right now and make you sit through the 10 to 12 minutes it would take, depending on network speed and the number of media assets that are in the book. But I have created a copy of that book previously. I'm just going to go down to Intro to Sociology. And one of the things you'll notice when I go to that book, so this is the book on my network. It created a copy of the same cover. If I went to visit this book, you'll see an awful lot of similarity in terms of the cover and the information that's available. So like I said, it's just a straight copy, but now it's on this network versus the other, and I have more freedom to share the book as I like. I also can use the tools that have been built into a PRESSBOOKS network. So if I go into the organize area, this is where I can see the chapters. And if there was chapters that I didn't want to cover with my students, I could just choose to show them in the web or not. So right now, these are not showing in the web. I could make all of them show in the web. Just give me a second to update the chapters. Or I could turn off particular chapters that I'm not going to cover with my class. So I have that freedom. I also have the ability to move chapters around. So it could be just as easy as clicking move up or move down, or dragging and dropping it to another part of the book. Just put it back so the next person using this book doesn't get messed up. So I created a copy of this chapter, What is Sociology? So this is the original chapter, and I created a copy of that chapter on this book, just so that I could go through and I could do a couple of things. So I could go through and you can see here that when you're editing a book in PRESSBOOKS, you have a visual editor, but you also have the ability to code HTML if you're more comfortable with that, or if you have that ability. I don't, so I'm more comfortable with the visual editor. And I can go through, and there's a few different things that I can do here. Number one, I can make use of a feature to make an interactive glossary. So I can insert a glossary term. So if I'm going to choose an existing term, so I've got sociology here. So I'll just make sure that we choose that, and then we insert that. So you can see that now in the manuscript, it places these short codes around sociology. I might want to highlight that just so that students can see that feature in the book. And let me just make a quick save on that chapter, and I'll just show you what the effect is when you make an interactive glossary. So the web book is produced. Now there's a link here that students can click on to get the definition of the term. I won't click on this right now because it shows up on my screen. It doesn't show up on Zoom for you. But the definition for sociology shows up for the reader, and they can go back to that same place when they click and go back to read. Another thing that educators like is you can take a sentence like this, and if you want to insert a footnote, so maybe you have a particular claim, you can insert a footnote around that. Click save, and then the footnote's down at the bottom of the book now, and readers will be able, bottom of the section of the book, and readers will be able to navigate back and forth easily with the footnotes enabled. We also will accept video, links to video. So I just populated this with a link from YouTube, found a discussion, presentation from an instructor on the sociological imagination, and I thought that this would be good in this chapter. I just took that link, popped it into the PRESSBOOKS platform, and that converted to embed it within the manuscript here. If I scroll down a little bit further, you'll see that when we get to the end, I've taken the section quiz, and I'm not sure if everyone's familiar with H5P, but H5P is another open resource that's available to educators. And we've taken H5P and we've built an H5P hub with every network that we produce. So I took those section quizzes, I created a H5P activity, and now when I go and I view the chapter, I'll just scroll down to the bottom of this chapter. You can see here's an H5P activity for an in-process check. And then here's the section quiz. So rather than having that flat presentation like it would be in a textbook that I would have used back in the 1900s, we now have interactive resource for students to check their understanding as they go through. And H5P is a very customizable resource, and you can choose whether you want to show the solution to students right away, whether you want to give them the ability to retry. It is a great formative assessment tool. So I like to show instructors how to give students the opportunity to redo questions and to get the right answer for the sake of learning. But everyone's going to have their own decisions about that. But I hope that this is one of the things that you're studying in this class. Sorry, I'm just reading the chat here about installing H5P plugin sector. Yes, it is bundled into PRESSBOOKS. So you don't have to worry about installing the H5P plugin separately. I'll go back into the authoring and editing platform here. If I click edit, and you can see down here at the bottom left, H5P content. So for authors using PRESSBOOKS, the first time that they come here, they have to enable the H5P hub. But it's just a matter of clicking accept, and then you have the ability to create all these H5P questions. So the H5P questions are living in a library for this book, and you'd have to, if you wanted to move from one book to another, you would have to download the H5P activities and upload them on another book. It's a pretty easy download to do that. But you can see here, you can edit all of these questions here. And then when you go into the book itself, I'll just get back into that chapter. So it's right here. And you can see here, oh, sorry, I'm not in the editing platform. So now I'll edit. And when I come down here, so this is one of the H5P activities that I built. If I have another one and I want to insert it here, I will just click up at the top, add H5P, and then I can find it in my library and just insert it right there. So again, that short code will be available, and now that H5P will be viewable by students. Okay, so I'm just reading this. Could you use a central H5P, for example, h5p.org, with an iframe and embed those snippets, or does it have to be installed from one of them? So yeah, you can embed H5P activities, and you could take the embed code from h5p.org. The only thing is that as an author, if you did that, you wouldn't have the ability to edit that. So part of the real draws of the open education system is that not only are you creating content, but you're making it openly available for others to use and to adapt. So I'll show you real quickly also one of the things in the Pressbooks directory I like to show is, well, we'll just clear this search first. And you can go down and you can search by a minimum number of H5P activities. So if I only want to see the books that have at least 5 H5P activities, you can see there's 1,500 books that have that. And you can go through, you can search again by titles that are in your subject area that you want to have a look at. And then within each title, we have a listing of the H5P activities. So rather than having to scroll through the whole book and find the H5P activities to use, you can come right here, and this is a question set on copyright and open content. You can, like I said, click the embed and just embed this in your own Pressbooks title. Or what you can do here is you can reuse this content. So I'm just going to click reuse, and I'm going to download this H5P file. And then I'm going to go back into my book, back into H5P, and I'm going to add new. Bear with me while I just find the file. I'm going to upload that file. Okay. And I'm going to use that one. Now that question is going to be in my library. It's bringing it in right now. Successfully uploaded, which is great. And now here's the H5P question that I was just looking at. And if I wanted to make any changes, if I wanted to change the question a little bit or change any of the available options, I could do that. I could make those changes, click save or create, and that will update the question. And now it'll tell me the short code that has been assigned for this question once this saves. So here we go. You can see that short code. So this is question 28. This is what that question looks like. And now I can go back into the book. Just go back into the book, get into organize, and let's go and we'll put it in one of these other chapters. So I am just going to insert it here and add H5P. And the nice thing about this is it actually, we've got it sorted by last modified, so I don't have to search for that short code because my memory's pathetic. I put that in there, click save. So rather than embedding, I like showing this because it does give you the option, if it's openly licensed again, to adapt that question and change it around. And so hopefully people won't be spending as much time developing these questions, and they'll spend more time working on the quality of the questions. So there, I finally got one right. So I'm going to quit while I'm ahead. So that's H5P, and that's how we use it within the Pressbooks directory or Pressbooks network, and how it shows available in the Pressbooks directory. It's a great resource that a number of people are making great use of to build that interactivity into their books. But I'll also show you a couple of other ways that that people have been using other educational technology to build interactivity into a Pressbooks title. So you'll see here, I'm on the University of Central Florida's University Physics Volume 1 book. And over on the right-hand side here, you'll see this tab. So this author has enabled Hypothesis. So Hypothesis, if you're not aware, is It's an open source software again. It's freely available on the web. You can create a login, and it's free to do that. Just sign in here. So once I sign in, you can see here that I'm in the public layer right now, but I can also create private study groups. So this is my PRESSBOOKS demo. So you can see here that I've previously made a note. And if I invite others to join this private study group, I would be enabling social annotation. And so an awful lot of people are using Hypothesis, not just as a note-taking tool, but to enable social annotation so that students can ask questions of one another, they can make comments on the text, and work together to better their learning. So Hypothesis is enabled on every PRESSBOOKS network as well. So an author can choose to have Hypothesis automatically enabled on the right-hand side of the book. It's easy enough for, with Hypothesis, you can annotate anything on the web, but this does make the tool available to all students on this book immediately. We talked earlier about accessibility, and I just wanted to show this is a physics book, and so as I'm sure that you're aware, physics, math, and the science, a lot of the science area, anything with quantitative numbers will often use a tool called LaTeX to produce a manuscript. LaTeX is a great typesetting tool, but it doesn't interact on the web very well. It actually creates an image. So when you have LaTeX notation, so that's how you render this mathematical notation on the web. When you have LaTeX online, accessibility tools and screen readers will just read that as an image. So it won't give the full picture to anyone using the accessibility tools. So within every PRESSBOOKS network, we've enabled a tool called MathJax, another open source software. And with MathJax, I can right click, and you can see here that I can show this math as a text command, as MathML codes. I can set the math settings. So if I want to set a zoom trigger, right now it's no zoom. If I want to click, double click, so that if I double click now, this is zoomed for me so that I can make better use of this if I have any visual disabilities. And it's, again, making all the math fully accessible to all screen readers. And I think that's a great resource that a lot of authors are making great use of. So I'm just going to check the chat again. Oh, great, cool. I'm glad you like that. And like I said, if you are to make an annotation, you can annotate anything, including the mathematical notation. You click to highlight, which is a private act, or annotate, and it will just pull up that annotation pane, and you can enter whatever you like. You can use mathematical symbols. So LaTeX is supported within Hypothesis. You can insert images or memes. You can link to other resources, and you can choose whether to post to your private group or just to yourself if you're just making your own notes. Okay, I just want to be mindful of time in case there are any questions. I've got a few other things that I just want to show you on the PRESSBOOKS network. But if there are questions, we'll have time to answer those. One of the great resources that I talked about originally with PRESSBOOKS is that we produce an easy to read, easy to author format to produce a web book, but you can also export multiple different file formats. So I'll just go into here, and these are all the different file formats that we're enabled that we are supportive of. So you can produce PDF for print. So if you have a print on demand resource or facility at your bookstore or at your institution. You can send these files and they've been optimized for print, or if you want to distribute PDFs for digital distribution, we produce those. We'll produce EPUBs, so if students want to download copies of the book to have them on their own device, you can do that. PressBooks XML is a great archiving file format. It's also a great way to move parts of books, whether you want to download a chapter in XML to move to another network to import, or you can also do that with EPUB as well. We produce common cartridge with web links so that you can use these tools within the LMS, so you can link out to these books within the LMS. But we also now have an LTI integration, so we can produce common cartridges with LTI links. So let me just go back to my presentation here. I am just going to go ahead and you can see here, this is within Canvas. So this is a Canvas pane, and what I've done is this is a shot of a PressBooks book that we have exported the common cartridge with LTI links. And now the great part about having the LTI integration is that students don't have to go outside of the LMS to read the textbook assignments. They can read those directly within the LMS. And if an author is choosing to use a book that he's working on, maybe he or she hasn't made it public yet, they're still working on the manuscript, but they have a few chapters that they want to use with students in a class. The LTI tool enables students to get access to that private material, because if you're sharing it through the LTI links, students are created as subscribers to the book on PressBooks, and they get full view of that content. That's a great question. Are educators your primary demographic of publishers? So when PressBooks started, our primary demographic, our founder was thinking broadly of any publishing that is done. Specifically, he was thinking of more scholarly articles, but it could, we do have a PressBooks network, and I'll show you a little bit about that. We have a PressBooks network that is open to self-publishers and to individual educators who are not wanting to create their own network like eCampus Ontario has. So we have, let me just scroll ahead here. Okay, these are all the institutions. I'll come back to that. But if you want to go to pressbooks.pub, this is the actual link to the site. You can pressbooks.pub is a PressBooks network, and you can sign up. You can create your own username and password, or you can sign in using Google, and you get access to a PressBooks network. And if you create an account and start a book, you'll get a free trial. It's a 7-day free trial, so you can try it out there. Self-publishers and individual authors, we have a number of people that are that write their own books that they'll take and they'll sell them on Amazon. They can produce the EPUB files and sell them on Amazon. They use that tool to do that. We've also had a couple of different smaller publishers set up PressBooks networks. So we support publishing of all types, but because of the I guess the features that we've built into it, our main demographic is educational publishing for to optimize learning. I hope that answers that question. So that's where you can sign up for that PressBooks network. You can take advantage of the free trial. It's just $12 a month to publish a book. We also do tell educators that if you would like to publish a book, and you create a subscription, if you use a Creative Commons license, so if it is openly licensed, when you're ready and you cancel that subscription, we'll continue to host and make that book available at no charge. We'll keep it in a read-only format so that your readers can have access to that material. And you would only need a subscription to make edits or changes to the book and release them. So you can come back at any time as a publisher, re-enable your subscription, make any edits to the book that you like, or updates, or create a new edition. And then when you're done with that, you can cancel that subscription, and we'll continue to host it if it's openly licensed. Okay, so I think that's about all that I was going to cover today, unless there's specific questions. If you do have any questions beyond this, I'll give you my email address at sales@pressbooks.com, and someone from our sales team can help you out. If you'd like to take advantage of trying PressBooks, like I said, we have a 7-day free trial for any project you start. But if you have a specific need to produce something for a class or something like that, reach out to me, and we can get you access for a little bit longer than the free trial, and get access to the H5P hub. Yes, yes, absolutely. If you create a book and you don't want it on there online, if it isn't openly licensed, we will cancel the book and cancel your account at any time you choose. You just have to request that we cancel the account. Actually, book covers. So there's there's a lot of great tools out there, a lot of free tools. Like a lot of people will make their book covers using a tool like Canva. But we also do have within the PressBooks network, if I go back in here, a cover generator. So this is where you can also create covers for PDF export. You can, once you create an image for a cover, you can upload it here, and that's where the covers are housed that you see on the homepage for the books. But most authors will use a tool like Canva or Adobe to create the covers, and there's a lot of great cover designs out there that you'll see if you go through the PressBooks directory. All sorts of great things. Again, that's where I really like the curated collections. You can see a lot of great ideas for the covers. This is Jacob Lawrence, is a Seattle-based author, and this was actually a project. It was an open pedagogy project at the University of Washington, where students that were working in this art history class, each chapter is written by a student covering specific works of Jacob Lawrence. So we do have one of the collections is on open pedagogy and open education. Here it is, the student-led OER. So all these are open student-led projects. I think I got all the questions that were in the chat.
Awesome. Thank you so much, John. I will be honest, I did just miss like the last 4 minutes of that because my internet stopped working. But
You're back now.
yes, I am now. Hopefully people had their questions answered. And thank you so much, John. Does anyone else have anything they want to add? Sorry, I didn't know if you already went around the room for questions.
There's been a couple come in on the chat. I haven't asked anyone specifically, and I'm not sure if they can come off mute, but if if there was anyone had a specific question, I'm happy to answer.
Yeah, I think that seems to be about it. No burning questions from anyone. Okay. Thank you so much, John, for walking us through all of this. I know everyone's very eager to learn about how they can maybe implement Pressbooks in their own teachings. We do have a few scholars in our program who do like to publish, like to craft, and so this could also be a really great opportunity for them as well to maybe put their writing out and their research out.